A professor at the University of San Francisco. She is the daughter of immigrants from the Philippines, and she built the Revolutionary Love Project with me 8 years ago as our Director of Education. This phenomenal human being, brilliant mind matched by the ferocity of her heart. Her name is Melissa Canlas. So this compass that you all were introduced to, it comes alive through educational curricula and through lesson plans and for early childhood education and for colleges and universities and workplaces. It's all at revolutionarylove.org. This is the movement we're seeding around the country. And Melissa has been the intellectual powerhouse behind it. So to come back to you and to your home city and to offer this is such a delight. I love you. Okay. So you have written a letter.
I have. Oh, yay, it's working.
Okay. So when did an act of love change everything for you?
The short version first and then elaborate?
Whatever you feel. Okay.
I'll do the short version first. I remember election night, 2016, as I suspect many of you do. And I remember feeling like the world was so dark and wondering to myself, what are we going to do? And then something surprising happened, a clarity, which I understood as a gift from the ancestors, because it was not mine. This gift arrived and someone's sort of spoke in my ear, whispered in my ear and said, you don't have to have any of the answers, but here are some of the questions that can guide you. And so because of that gift of love, I wrote down 3 questions that night in my journal. And the questions were, how can I be brave? Who can I ask for help? And how can I do this work in love and community?
I'm going to repeat those. How can I be brave? Who can I ask for help? And how do I do this work in love and community?
That's right. And those were the questions that guided me through that season, that guided me through the pandemic, that continued to guide me through where we are now, that led me to you and to our project and our work together. And I want you to know that we need each other, that we belong to each other, and that we are all braver together.
Who was the ancestor who came to you tonight?
So I brought the tissues with me because I knew this was going to happen. It was you've heard me speak of him a lot, my ancestor, my Tito Roy Loredo, and it helped a lot by the fact that Sonny's singing voice sounds just like him. And if I just kind of closed my eyes, I was like, oh, it's my Tito Roy singing to me, and it could be Tagalog, it could be Kapampangan, and it could be the songs that he always sang. And so this is my uncle, my mother's only brother, who himself survived the Marcos dictatorship in the Philippines. He was tortured by the Marcos dictatorship. He went on to live 45 more years after that. And he took in my lost and wandering self when I was like 20 years old, and I graduated from college and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I felt like my life was bigger than the world I had inhabited. And so I just kind of took off, and he didn't know me. We know his family, but he had only met me as like a 10-year-old, and he let me live with him and my aunt, who is also his wife, who is now also an ancestor in the last year. So they were both with me just now. They're with me all the time, but I think especially just now. And they parented me in a way that was so loving, just by showing me their lives and just by showing me a different way of being. My uncle was the family historian. He was the person who, as brave and courageous as he was in his beliefs, he would listen to anyone. Like, I remember being in the back of a cab with him, and he's speaking in rapid fire Tagalog to the cab driver, which I wasn't all catching. And then I realized that he was talking to him about the speed of light, like how long it takes the speed of light to come from the sun to the, and I was like, he can have this conversation with him. And then like their house was the house that the aunties came and they told all the same stories for like the 100th time. And he listened to them like he'd never heard it before, like with just so much compassion and patience. And I thought, this is how I want to be in the world. and I'm not there, and I'm still not there. But he's still the guide for me about how to be in the world and how to live with genuine wonder, with genuine love. And he lived through so much trauma, but he was such a beautiful, compassionate listener. And it's one of the gifts he gave, one of the aspirational gifts he gave me.
Yeah. I keep thinking, we don't have to bring forth all of our ancestors and all of our histories, right? We only have to bring forth the one moment, the one example, the one person who embodied the best of us, the best of who human beings could be. And what I love about hearing who you brought forth and even hearing Sunny's singing voice, it's like the more we present the best of who we are, like the more we reach deep into the particular, we find ourselves. Right? You experienced a story that was completely of another world for many of you, and for you to then find yourself, find him, find the best of us. That love is our birthright, and this is who we can be. I want to know, because you're talking about 2016, we're about to experience in a few short days another election, and we don't know what the outcome will be. We know that we're going to show up with all we have between now and then. And can you slow down that moment of when you feel the despair and the depression and the hopelessness, and that alchemy of like that step from inside the trauma to dare to lift your gaze and think of the ancestors and write those questions down? What does that transition look like inside of you?
So we started the night at a bar, and we were just going to watch the election results come in. And I wasn't optimistic, but some of the people I was with were more optimistic. So we were like, we'll be with people, and we'll see how this goes. And as the numbers came in, I was like, I have to go home. I just need space. I don't need to be around. I can't manage anyone else's emotions. And so my husband and I went home, and I remember sitting on the sofa, and I remember him saying like, I'm not okay. This isn't okay. And I was like, no, it's not okay. I don't know if we're going to be okay. And then I remembered that the next day I had to teach. And I was scheduled to teach a seminar of first-year students who we'd been talking about the election for months. And they had just voted. They were 18, many of them had just voted in their first presidential election. And I remember them talking about what they were afraid of if this presidency were to occur. And my students who are undocumented were saying that their parents had pulled them aside and said, look, if this happens, here's what you need to know. Here's what we might have to do. And my students who are queer are saying, like, I don't know if I'll ever feel safe again. And my students who are Muslim, all of the things. And so I thought, how can I help? What can I do to hold some kind of space for them tomorrow, right, in a few short hours? And that's when I just took a breath, and then I got really quiet. And then I thought, and then it came to me, and I opened up a piece of paper, and I was like, what do I know? It's kind of an Oprah question, like, what do I know for sure in this moment? And the questions came, and I was like, I don't know what kind of work is ahead, but I know there's work ahead. And I know I need to be a part of it. I know we all need to be a part of it. And I know that none of this can happen on my own. I know that it's going to require all of us. I know it's going to require asking for help, which as the child of an immigrant parent in an immigrant family, it's not the easiest thing to do. And those questions came. And then I thought, okay. And then after I wrote them down, and I thought, I don't have to have any answers. All I need are the questions to guide me. And then I felt a kind of calm. I was like, okay, this I can work with. Like, if I can ask myself these questions in any given moment, I didn't call it a compass yet because we didn't have a compass, but I think it was, they were kind of a compass for me. And so in that moment, and I ask it all the time, it's like, what's the brave thing to do right now? Right? In this moment when something's happening, any moment, like, what would be the brave thing? And I can't always do it. And sometimes, mostly often, the times when I can't do it is when I'm alone, like physically alone. Like, there are times when I'm like, to do this, I'm going to need my people with me. Mm-hmm. Like, I literally have to wait until I'm with my crew.
Yes.
But more often than not, just knowing what the brave thing is lets me lean in that direction. And that led me to you. And so I've met Valarie in, was it 2017? Mm-hmm. And you were doing a webinar with Van Jones and Alicia Garza, and it was called something like Revolutionary Love in a Time of Rage or something like that. And I remember Alicia Garza was like at the hairdresser and she was getting her hair done while they were doing this. And it was beautiful. It's a beautiful webinar. It's still on YouTube, I think. Y'all should watch it. And I still assign it to my classes. And I had known of some of your work. I knew of Divided We Fall, your documentary. And then I heard you say at the end, but everything that you were saying was speaking to like, oh, this is how we can be brave. This is how we do the work in love and community. And at the very end of the webinar, there was a short little plug that was like, oh, by the way, the Revolutionary Love Project is hiring, and we're looking for a senior research scholar. And I was like, I'm a researcher. I could be a research scholar. And I'd just taken a full-time position at this university, but I'm like, I mean, this is the kind of work that I need to be doing. And so, yeah. And so it guided me to you, and that guided me to all of this, to all of where we are.
In this compass that we have built together, what has been the most useful to you and to your students?
I'm bad at like most questions, like ranking those things because it's so many things. I think so much of it is just the language, right? Because I think, like many folks, like I was in 2016, we were all looking for something. We were looking for a language to give us direction. Because I think there's was and continues to be so much energy, so much rage, so much grief. And I think what the compass does is that it helps us name it, and it helps us direct it to the kinds of projects, the kinds of actions that we want to be doing, but we don't always know how to identify. Yeah, so I think the practices that are most salient for me most days are grief. Mm-hmm. And you know this through the pandemic, through all of my elders who've become ancestors in the last just few years. Grief is with me all the time. And sometimes it's beautiful. Like sometimes it's beautiful to be visited by your ancestors. And sometimes it's just, I just don't know what to do with it. Like it's just there, and we live in a world that is burning, and we live in a place where young children aren't allowed to live and play and grow and breathe, and innocent men are killed by the state, even though there's evidence to the contrary, which happened today. Mm-hmm. And so grief is with me all the time. And knowing that can be purposeful, knowing that we don't have to carry that alone, knowing that that's fuel for its energy for the work that we do, knowing that it's proof of our humanity and our aliveness, all of that is so helpful to being alive. Yeah. It's so helpful to feel like not having to push who we are aside, not having to push the grief aside, but letting it inform the work that we do. And holding it in community is, as you say all the time, is the only way to carry it.
Yeah.